one thing I can tell you is that it's sort of this artificially contrived myth that you're supposed to achieve your greatness Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. That's kind of artificially created. They artificially designed this thing called a work week. And and you think, oh, this is when I'm supposed to work and this is when I'm supposed to turn off my effort, and I get it, right? We all have to relax, we all have to decompress and all that. Um, but remember, these are rules that are taught to us when we're children. And what happens is that whatever habits we form, they that just becomes our way of doing things. It's almost like when they say that, has anybody ever seen this where they always say, like, if you want to sleep better, you should only go lay in your bed when you're sleeping. You shouldn't lay in your bed when you're like working or just watching TV. Anybody ever heard that? And they say that you do that because what happens is that you basically trained your brain to associate the bed with sleeping. So in that case, it works really well. It helps you to sleep better because when you're in the bed, you're thinking, "Oh, I'm in the bed now. I'm supposed to be asleep." That's the subconscious mind and how it works. But that's really an example where sort of brainwashing doesn't take place. Sometimes we're brainwashing ourselves, sometimes others are brainwashing us. And I do believe that economically speaking, we're sort of brainwashed to think that Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 is when we're supposed to be activated. And then like a robot, like a Tesla robot, after 5 o'clock, you just, you just turn off. And I'm not saying it's okay to or not okay to do that. Sometimes you got to turn off and maybe turn up. I get all that. That makes sense. But people that I notice who really have a lot of wealth don't really do that. Most entrepreneurs that build strong businesses, great investors, they don't follow stupid rules like that, like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I believe the best entrepreneurs I've seen are people who make their own rules. And it doesn't mean that you can't have time to decompress. Everybody needs that. But it's a different approach. Like I don't really take a vacation. Like I don't have a time where it's like, oh, I'm going to take 2 weeks and sit around and do nothing on a cruise ship for 2 weeks so I can recharge for the rest of the year. I take a vacation every single day. Every day I take a vacation. It might be a 2 hour vacation. It is literally like, okay, for 2 hours, I'm going to just sit here and stare at Netflix or spend time with my wife or go to a nice restaurant or sometimes my wife and I will do a mini vacation where we live near Chicago. So but it's far enough away that it's not an easy trip. So every now and then we'll pick a nice hotel and say let's go to a nice hotel and relax, treat ourselves well, eat dinner together, kind of do city stuff together and but then also work on our goals, talk about our next big project, sit down and just, we're literally two nerdy professors just holed up in a hotel room, banging away on our laptops, getting things done. And then we'll take a break and go eat or whatever. And it's a nice experience, right? It's all about everything's about your experience. How does your experience make you feel? And I feel recharged when I do that. It's a new environment. Studies show that you are more creative when you are kind of in a new space for at least a little while. So those little mini vacations, I think, can be very powerful. And then also, um, like it's really interesting. I often get accused of being a workaholic, and I think that that would be an accurate accusation. I may be guilty as charged, but it's nuanced. And let me explain why it's nuanced. Here's the truth. If I had a regular job, like if I was working for some white man who told me to be there at 9 o'clock and work it straight, not stop until 5 with a lunch break in the middle, I would be fired very quickly. I would be fired on my day off. I wouldn't get employee of the year. Whatever the opposite of employee of the year is, I would get that award. If they had like lazy Negro of the year, I'd be a candidate every single season. Um, I'm not very good at working on things that don't have value or meaning to me. I'm not very good at working hard on things that where I'm forced to do it. I just don't make a good slave. I'm just not really built for slavery. Anybody else know what I'm talking about? Anybody else get what I'm saying? It just doesn't work, and because it takes discipline it takes discipline to, like, when the white man says jump and you say how high, boss, right? That takes discipline. I don't have that. I can't. I'm not built that way. And but then again, maybe it's because I'm spoiled, because for 30 years I've never worked for anyone really like that. I had a job here and there. I mean, the jobs I had before I became a professor were like, I worked at Arby's. And I liked Arby's because I liked their food, and that was cool. And I worked at Wendy's, and Wendy's also was good because I was a teenager. You could eat cheeseburgers and stuff, and also it was that job at Wendy's was kind of cool because everybody I work with was a girl except me. They always need one guy because the guy does the grill, and the grill takes a lot of like elbow strength, like muscle, whatever. And I was on the track team. I had to have a little muscles going, and everybody else I worked with was a girl. That was crazy for a 16-year-old to go through that. But anyway, with that said, so that accusation, like, Dr. Bush, you work so hard, you work so hard. Did you ever stop working? I say, actually, yeah, I can take some credit for hard work, but I learned a long time ago that you're more likely to work hard when you're working on something you that you're passionate about, something that you like. I'm a big believer in following your passion, but not to the point where it leads to automatic economic desperation. Now let's process this for a moment. A lot of people will tell you, they tell young people, like what my parents kind of told me, that you can't just pick a major in college based on your passion, because if your passion doesn't pay any money, then you're gonna be broke. I get all that. That makes sense. But that rule changes if you are fortunate enough to have parents that are smart, like a lot of you are, smart enough to help the child gain some degree of economic intelligence. Because let me tell you what happens when you apply that rule, but you have economic intelligence. Well, one aspect of economic intelligence is that you can build a business model around damn near anything. Look at this. There is money all around you. This is the purpose of financial consciousness training, in case you don't know, is to see the money around you. There is money everywhere. I'm holding an iPhone. There's money there. This microphone. Somebody sold this microphone. This laptop I'm talking to you on. Somebody sold that. I have a little stand here for my cell phone. Somebody sold me that. I got a cup of coffee. There was money made over there. Bottle of water. Somebody's making money selling bottled water. This shirt. Somebody sold me this shirt. These glasses. They were not free. I got a little bracelet. It's a nice gold. It's real gold. It won't turn my wrist green. That costs money. So there's money everywhere. There's business models everywhere. And what happens when you become economically conscious and you pass this to your children? This is the generational blessing you're going to give to your kids and grandkids. Give me a yes in the chat. Let's be conscious. Give me a yes in the chat if you're going to pass this to someone else. Please give me a yes. The value of financial consciousness is that you can see the money everywhere. And what happens is that when somebody can see the money everywhere, they gain a type of economic superpower where they can pursue their passion and do pretty much whatever they want, and in their mind they know how they have a million different ways to establish either a business model around their passion or some other alternative way to make enough money to fuel and fund their passion. Do you understand? But when you haven't been exposed to economic possibilities and you haven't been economically trained, then you kind of get stuck in this very limited thinking that most people are stuck in. Give me a guess if you've seen this, where people really think that their choices of major in college or their choice of career is limited by job availability in that field, the amount of money that those jobs are going to pay. And really, what is really, in my view, I call that, I would refer to that as a submission to the economic gods of American capitalism. You got these economic gods who are not looking for jobs. The wealthiest people at the top of Apple and Microsoft, their children aren't out hunting, right? They're making investments. They're going to banks to get loans so they can, invest in more infrastructure for AI and all this. That's what they're doing. They're not like, oh, son, you gotta make sure you fill out your resume this way, and then here's how you do a job interview. That's for working class people. That's not for the elite, for the wealthy, or for investors. And I'm not even just talking about individuals who are better than us or even more educated. And I'm not even talking about people that are wealthier necessarily. There are lots of people who live an investor lifestyle who maybe make a couple $100,000 a year. It's not like they're all filthy rich. They're just people who kind of think about their economic outcomes in a certain way. So with that said, One of the things I would say is that I think it's extremely beneficial if you are able to be exposed to different ways of viewing uh, what a work week kind of looks like. And let's just circle back to that. Um, I do work hard. I do. I have a deep belief that the most valuable asset that we have in our lives is time. I believe time is far more valuable than money, and I've got the mathematical equations to prove it. I can show you equations that we did when I was on the faculty of Syracuse to calculate wealth, and I can show you where time appears in the equation, and that if you do something they call a derivative, if you take a derivative of the equation with respect to time, you're going to find time is one of the most impactful, if not the most impactful variable in that wealth equation. So generally speaking, what that means, and let me summarize, I'll make it simple, is that when you waste time, you are wasting money, but you're not just wasting money, you're wasting something more valuable than money. And the wasting of time is the number one problem that exists in terms of why black wealth is not growing, it's actually declining, and it's really disappearing in a significant way. Just this week, I was speaking at the Armed Services Black Hair Expo. I believe that's what it was called in Killeen, Texas. And I talked to a group of black folks, and it was really hard. It was a little awkward. I mean, I've spoken a lot, so it's not wasn't a big deal. But and I love the people. The hosts were amazing, but it was kind of funny because I went on stage right after this like boy band group. Right? Did y'all know that the guys from men, Boys to Men, that they have a bunch of sons that are like touring together? Did y'all know that? I didn't know that. They were there. The Boys to Men guys were there. And I was really fascinated. I was watching them up there. And I mean, the girls were going crazy. They were running up with their cell phones. I still don't understand the science behind why women just freak out when a man can sing. I just don't get it. But anyway, so the girls are all going crazy and they're up there doing their whole sexy thing and wiggling and all that. I'm like, oh Lord, y'all gonna get some of these girls pregnant and then the dad is gonna have to kill you. But anyway, it was just fascinating. It was like watching Animal Kingdom or something. And so when they got done, they walked off stage, and I'm like, damn, I got to bring my ass up here after these teenage heartthrobs. I can't compete with that. But I just went in and did my best. I did my best, and I could have danced a little bit. I could do the robot and the wave and something. But anyway, I didn't do too much dancing. I did a little bit though because it was kind of funny. But anyway, so the point was like I was kind of talking to them about time and how when you don't invest for your kids, like you waste that 18 years. And we've talked about this in class, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but a massive, 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 massive amount of wealth could have been created during those 18, 19, 20 years that you wasted time and didn't even take the amount of money that you spend on fast food and puts that same amount aside for the kids or for the family wealth, right? Like if a person just simply had a newborn baby and said every time and this is advice I literally gave to a young black man that was there who told me he wanted to be an investor. I said, here's what you do. I said, he was 19. He's a freshman in college. And I said, I'm excited for you because your life is beginning right now. And it's up to you to decide how amazing that life is going to be. And he told me he ran track. And I said, think of it like running the 100-meter dash. I said, in the 100, you got to get out of the blocks. Get out of the blocks fast. Get off to a fast start, and then you got to look forward. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Stay focused. And I said, because a lot of your friends are not going to make it. They're not going to do this. And I said, you run as fast as you can, straight forward, look ahead, stay focused, get out them damn blocks, and you're going to have an amazing life. So what I told him was I said, here's a little thing you can do as an investor, because he told me he was interested in stocks. I'm always excited when I meet a young person that's interested in stocks because what I see is, wow, you got the gift of time. You got all this time in front of you, and you're already asking these questions. I'm super excited for you. So I told him, I said, here's what you do. I said, every time you spend money on something frivolous, just match it with an investment. That way you don't feel so bad. It's like how the environmentalists, when they go chop down a tree, they'll go plant two other trees so they don't feel guilty about the tree they chopped down. Do you understand? So I said, so do the same thing. I said, every time you chop down a tree, plant a tree. That way you're enjoying the present and you're also preparing for the future, which will allow you to enjoy your life even more once the future arrives. And the future will be better than the present because you're making these investments. So that means you go to McDonald's, you spend $12, put $12 in the stock market. You can buy McDonald's stock if you want to. You go to Starbucks, you spend $8, put $8, maybe buy $8 worth of Starbucks stock if you want. That will be a fun little game to play. And because these little games make you interested in investing, whatever you got to do to make it fun, do that, right? Just be consistent. So so you go to Nike and you want to get the new Jordans. Well, that's going to cost you. Are you willing to pay the cost to be the boss? So the Jordans are going to be $220. Well, that means $220 in Nike stock. You got to own a piece of what you consume. And this is really what rich people do, right? In a lot of cases, is they will buy in a way where they're buying from the very same things that they're benefiting from. And what they're doing is they're getting on both sides of the economic equation. They are both a producer and a consumer. They're not just a consumer. People that are just consumers get economically destroyed in this economy. Black people are the ultimate consumer. We are trained to be consumers from birth. All they do from the very time you're born is spend, 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 spend. That's what you're taught to do with money. And then what happens is you spend until you're depleted, and then you're depleted, you got to go back to work. That's not by accident, that is fully by design. Capitalists cannot make the economy run strongly if they cannot convince people to come to work. And what they found is that people who are economically desperate, people who are struggling, tend to want to come to work. When people get a little bit of money in their pocket, like during the pandemic, they don't want to come to work no more. So after the pandemic, if you recall, the biggest problem they had was they had millions of people who suddenly realized the obvious. And the obvious is that maybe I wasn't meant to spend the majority of my waking hours on this planet at my job at FedEx or in the Cheesecake Factory working and serving tables all day. Maybe there are other things I can do that are a bit more enjoyable. So long story short, I would say just with that piece with investing, this is honestly, just so you know, this is what we do in Money in the Morning. We just kind of talk about stuff that comes to mind. So sometimes I know I'll go in different places in different directions. I don't even know what I'm talking about next, but I know it's going to be something that relates to our economics. And as I think about this amazing experience I had in Colleen with these wonderful people, it just sort of made me reflect on how simple the solution is. The hard part is really the implementation. The implementation is difficult for a couple of reasons. Number one, we have been addicted to the dopamine response that comes from instant gratification. There is a false perception that in order for Black people to learn, we have to be entertained. That's why you see with the politicians, when they want to get Black people's attention, they bring a rapper up or shaking booty and all this other stuff because they look at us as children that can't pay attention, a bunch of ADHD kids. I think that that's how they view us. And then the other reason that it's difficult to implement is because if you don't have a good economic culture that really rewards this kind of behavior, if everyone's looking at you like you're a weirdo and an alien when because you're just doing healthy things for your financial future, well, that's going to minimize your incentive. You're going to feel like you have to have the courage to be different to do this, and a lot of people just don't have it. Most people follow the crowd actually, and so because there's comfort in doing that, even if everybody in the crowd is going to jump off a cliff and die and be broke and struggling, we'll still follow the crowd because we feel comfortable doing that. The other reason the implementation is hard is because it's not always sexy. I know I ain't sexy, and I know that this that sitting here, talking to me about economics every morning is probably not as interesting as some of the other things that are going on the internet, some of the drama, stuff like that. And again, that does link back to that dopamine piece, right? So I kind of think that it's one of these things where if everybody just did the basics, then we would be absolutely fine. But what happens is that we don't do the basics because we're distracted or we don't believe we can do it. That's another thing. We don't believe we have the capacity to do it. There are so many people out there that are giving bad information about investing. It's either overcomplicated or it's just flat out incorrect. Like I was talking to you guys about the blessing looms and all this nonsense that they were pushing around the internet, saying, "Hey, family, we got to build generational wealth for our community." Just using all these ridiculous, these buzzwords that people embrace, and then effectively they're pushing you into a Ponzi scheme. And then you look back and say, "I tried to invest. I put up $20,000. Now I have no more money." Because it didn't work, right? And this is why I don't invest. And so one of the things that I try to do is like kind of help you deal with some of that misinformation, some of that nonsense that's out there, and say, look, investing doesn't have to be complicated. It does. But what's really important too is when you get to the point where here's the thing. This is interesting. This makes me think about why scams work a lot of time. The reason scams work is because it's because people we're as human beings we're naturally greedy and fearful. That's why scams work. Scams work because they are able to tap into th those very dark sides of who we are, that side of us that really wants to be greedy and wants to have it all right now. Um, if if the devil sees where your lust is coming from, we can talk about the devil because it's Sunday. I believe that if the devil really sees like that side of you, that greedy side of you, that side of you that, or that side of you that has an insecurity, then the devil will take advantage of that. Like we talked about, I told you how kind of feel like, I almost feel like if Diddy is responsible for even 1/10 of the stuff he's accused of, yeah, Diddy might be the devil. He had a picture of himself where he was dressed in red, like Satan. And I was like, yeah, that's almost demonic, man. What, like, because he was able to take advantage of people's greed and hunger for fame and fortune and success. You get people that are so hungry to have something, they'll do anything to get it. And when someone identifies that, they say, okay, I got you. And now I'll give it to you, but you got to do this. I might give it to you, but you got to do that. And then 9 times out of 10, they don't actually do it. One time, and this is why I think it's important make sure your little girls learn about economics so they don't have to do this. There was an actress I met one time in LA. LA has a lot of LA is fascinating to me. Hollywood is. I spent some time out there because I made movies and stuff, and I used to go out there and visit Dame Dash, and we would just kind of hang out and talk. It really sitting next to people like talking to him and also Al Sharpton was really interesting because they have the best stories. They just have these. So he would just tell all these stories about Rockefeller and Jay-Z and everything, and he hates Jay-Z, but I would just listen. And anyway, I would go out to LA. And we went a couple of times we made some projects. And it was really interesting to see all the desperation they kind of exists in Hollywood, where everybody's kind of scrambling trying to get these opportunities. And there aren't that many opportunities. And it really becomes almost like a big plantation because the white people control all the money and white and Jewish people. Y'all know what entertainment is, right? It's nothing against them, but this is just a fact. And you would see people just really doing these really hard things. Like they would, there'd be an audition for like one part, and there'd be like, like 100 people, 200 people waiting outside for like 2 hours to audition for this part. Or one day we shot this movie. It wasn't even a paid movie. We didn't have no budget. We didn't have no Hollywood money. And I remember I was so shocked that there were like 40 actors and here's the thing, I had to get there late. I could not get there until maybe about 6 o'clock or something. I was supposed to be there like two, literally. I thought they were just going to go without me and start without me, but no, they waited for me. And these actors waited like 4 hours for me to get there. And when we got there, they worked another 5 or 6 hours. And I said, we don't have any money to pay these people. Do they know this? And they're like, yeah, they know they're working for free because they just want opportunities. I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And they were super talented, very disciplined. And I just remember thinking, like the finance professor in me was saying, this is a misallocated resource because when you have people that are that talented, many of them, not all of them are talented, but a lot of them are super talented, super dedicated, and super disciplined, but you're broke, that means your talent, your discipline, and your skill are being applied in the wrong area. It's being misallocated. One of the things there's a concept in finance called market efficiency. And market efficiency basically says that capital, like human capital, we are all capital. The capital should be allocated to its most efficient use, its most profitable use. And so when you're sitting there in LA and you tell me that you are, you know, but that you're showing me how talented you are and how hard you've worked, and you're putting all this time and you're not getting what you want, that tells me that maybe you should be somewhere else. You should be applying that skill in another space. So anyway, this circles back to the story that I want to tell or how I want to finish the story. So there was a young lady that was there, and she was really pretty. I'll never forget this. And I was kind of I was single at the time, and this is the pre-Alicia days, and so I was kind of checking her out, kind of curious, And it turned out she had a husband at the time, so I was like, ah, dang. But I remember she was absolutely gorgeous and really talented, and and that was it. I didn't see her again. I didn't think much about it. But then later on, I saw her on the internet, right? And so she was doing a podcast or something. And I remember that she had gotten a divorce from her husband, and she tells this story that kind of freaked me out. She said that she was so broke, her money was so tight, that she basically got on one of those websites. Apparently, there are websites where sugar daddies can find like young girls, where it's like, I'll pay your bills if you will do ridiculous things for me. And she did that. And she said, I needed a laptop. So I went on the website, found a man that promised me he'd buy me a laptop if I slept with him. And she said, so I slept with him and I didn't, she said, I was pissed because he didn't give me the laptop. And I was like, I was thinking, okay, number one, it's kind of strange to tell that story. Maybe you should keep that to yourself. But then I was thinking, this is so interesting to me because this lady was absolutely gorgeous, super talented, very hardworking, and she's sleeping with people just to get a laptop. And here's the weird part, right? When I met her, I never would have even thought that that would even be something that she would even consider. Like I'm sitting there thinking, I'll take you out. Maybe we can have, some experiences together and get to know each other. And because at some point I'm looking for Mrs. Watkins, maybe you're her. I'm thinking like that. But I didn't know. All I needed was a laptop. Like if I'm like, hey baby, I got a Chromebook in the car, like I mean, it was crazy to me. So the thing that kind of freaked me out about it is that when you see that desperation from especially from people that work hard, that are really talented, that have uh all these untapped assets in their lives. Like you're this valuable gold mine of potential, but you see yourself at a certain level. That makes me very sad. And I really thought, gosh, I would hate for my daughter to be in a situation like that. Because the men on those sugar daddy sites, I'm sure a lot of them got diseases and all kinds of stuff. Because you're nasty. You're up here on the website trying to buy women. Like that probably means you're a nasty man. Like, why would you want to even get in a bed with a nasty person like that? But then the other part of it too was it made me think very deeply about sort of how we position ourselves and how we position our children and how we sort of think about how financial security is so critical to how we are forced to make decisions or how we end up making decisions, right? Like, if you take that beautiful, talented young lady, hardworking. She's very hardworking. I saw her work 12 hours that day for free. And I heard more about her career and how ambitious she was and everything. Um, Number one, if her parents had just invested $5 a day or something since she was a baby, she'd have hundreds of thousands of dollars in some investment account somewhere, so she wouldn't have had to go sleep with somebody for a laptop. And then second of all, she wouldn't have had to go work for free like she was doing with these movie sets. She'd be able to possibly do something like think about this. If her parents had given her like basic skill on how to start a business, maybe put her in a 2-day business camp or something where she had an entrepreneurial spirit, then what would happen is she would have two things that are necessary to build wealth as an entrepreneur. One is the ability to develop your business model, and two is capital to activate your business model. So she says, instead of me getting in line to do these auditions and waiting 3 hours for my turn with 200 other people, I can actually just, get together with my really talented friends who also don't have opportunities from major studios. We can, you can write the script, you be the director, you you can do the lighting, you can do the camera. I'll be the star. I'll make myself the star of the film, and because I'm gonna write the script around me because I'm the boss. And then it's going to cost us, let's say, $10,000 to do this independent project. I got $10,000 because I've got, $250,000 in investment funds that have been accumulating since I was a child. Because when my single mother, who was working for minimum wage, was investing $150 a month for me when I was a kid, that money accumulated through compound interest because my mother loved me. My mother was consistent, or my father as well, right? Like this is what I see. This is the alternative reality. This is the parallel universe for the beautiful young lady who had to sell her body for a laptop that she never even received. And then the third part of it too is that with all that talent and all that hard work, one of the aspects of oppression that doesn't get discussed very often is the fact that Hollywood is a terrible place because you have some of the most talented black people on earth who arrived to Hollywood hoping a white man's going to give them a dream right? That's it. You're praying to the white man. You're not even praying to God anymore. He is your God. He's the one that decides if your life is going to be better or worse. That's a dangerous, vulnerable position to be in because effectively what happens is that again, the devil can identify your deficiencies. The devil is in the deficiencies. The devil sees the deficiencies. So when you show up and you are financially desperate, deeply insecure, looking for acceptance, you also have an addiction to a dream that you fulfill. You must have this fantasy fulfilled of being famous or whatever. Then it's very easy for him to say, "I might put you in the movie, but I need you to lay on the couch." Or I need you to bend over. I need you to get on your knees. All right, and this is an interesting because we all know that Hollywood is a really debaucherous, just a nasty, nasty place, and so I think that we should think about financial security as kind of like not just financial security but financial intelligence as a way of kind of understanding and having an awareness of this power imbalance, how a lack of preparation can create significant desperation. So if you are desperate and you don't know what to do because you've never been trained on the basics of economics, again, I don't know what the hell they did with you in that school. You were there every day for 8 hours a day. If you're in a school that I'm running for 8 hours a day every day, you're gonna walk out like an economic ninja. You're gonna know everything you need to know about economics. If you even just come to this class every single day, those of you who've been here, say 50 times, I'm confident enough to say that you're probably ahead of about 99% of all Americans because I spent many decades on the absolute forefront of the frontier of financial research. Like literally, hey Renata, I see you. Good to see you again. I literally just this is what I meditated on, since the 90s. This is what I'm obsessed with. So you're way ahead of everyone else. So again, I hope you can forgive me for the amount of frustration I have and irritation I have with the fact that there are schools that are getting hundreds of millions and cumulatively billions of dollars to not educate black children. Again, that is all, when you talk about gatekeeping and kind of blocking certain things, that's what I see, that there are significant economic gates that are in place that stop us from having what we're supposed to have, or reaching our truest potential. So in Hollywood, the big gate is that you got the big studios and you come in and you're dreaming about getting a movie with Disney or Warner Brothers or whatever, and they control all the capital. So they have all the power. And because the devil can identify the deficiencies, the devil says, okay, you're just a Negro. You ain't got no money. You don't know how to build an empire the way my family built it or the way my people built it. My people built Warner Brothers. My people built Universal Studios. My people built Disney. Your people ain't built nothing. Your people only taught you to come out here and beg me for a job. Your people only prepared you to come over here and get on your knees and do whatever the hell I tell you to do. And if you don't do it, then I'm gonna punish you. I'm gonna blackball you. I'm not gonna pay you. I'm gonna drop you in the midst of significant trauma, financial trauma, and other forms of trauma because you did not behave. You are my slave. You are my bitch. That's literally the mindset that I think gets created in that space. And because here's the thing, these are things that can be easily understood. Like if again, maybe again, I'm living in my own brain, and I'm trying not to do that, but I'm in my own brain. I look at that and I say, oh wow, I see how the Jewish community built Hollywood. I see how they did it, and I see why they did it, and I admire them for doing it. I do. Even you can even admire your adversary. I'm like, damn, y'all did something pretty amazing. One day we should read, maybe we could read together in the book club, that book, An Empire of Their Own, How the Jews Invented Hollywood. It is a really fascinating book. It just really just shows you that they're not perfect. Let's just say that they're not homogeneous. They're very different. They're very diverse. You have conservative and you have liberal, and you got the Eastern European Jews, which are kind of like the ghetto part of the Jewish community. From what I gathered, right? I'm not an expert on Judaism at all or Jewish people. And again, I don't even want to get into the debate about who the original Jews are. I respect all of that, and I believe you 100%. I'm not even smart enough to really contribute significantly to a conversation like that. That's Kyrie Irving's job or somebody like that. But I will say that from an economic standpoint, it was really impressive to understand and insightful to get into the mindset that led them to create Hollywood and how they did it. I mean, it was incredible. It was literally a community that just said, we're tired of not controlling our own destiny. And we know that economics is how we do that. And they did eventually become political, but they saw the economics as a pathway into the politics. They pretty much did what Dr. Claude Anderson's been begging black people to do for 40 years. That's what they did. They just got together and just said, okay, let's pool our money. Let's take advantage of this new technology called moving pictures, and let's just build around that. And so the Warner Brothers family, the Warner family, they sold the family horse in Toledo, Ohio, and started showing these moving pictures in a barn or something, and charging a nickel for people to come watch these this new amazing new technology. I guess movies were like what AI is for us now, and they built off of that. And same thing with pretty much almost every Hollywood studio kind of came out of that community. And then what happened was because they were in such a habit of doing business with each other, you had other businesses that spun off of that. Like what's that? I forgot that, like those agencies, those agents that control all the actors. I forgot what the big ones are, but those agencies were all came out of that community. Like you really can't go to Hollywood and offend the Jewish community. They will tear you up. They will eat. It's not SAG. It's the agency that well the actors are represented. I forgot what the CAA maybe I think that's what it's called. And I think Terrence Howard was suing them. He was pretty mad because the agents were not doing something he didn't like, but they were like, whatever, we don't care. So anyway, long story short, they what they really did that was interesting was they did what I think black people could have done when we owned the Negro Leagues. When we owned the Negro Leagues, and we had black owned we had a black owned version of NASCAR called the Golden Glory Sweepstakes. We I'm sure somewhere I gotta go check, but I'm sure we've had black owned basketball leagues, things like that. I mean, we're the best basketball players on earth, so why wouldn't we have our own league at some point? And so effectively we had that opportunity, but I think the biggest difference was that we were tempted by integration. Like integration was something that we were excited about because we really wanted to be up next to our masters. Like we really wanted to be accepted by white people. And it almost would have been better, honestly, if they had never ever even invited us to integrate. Like if they had just said, screw you, we ain't giving you nothing. We're not going to be nice. Like I think that can bring out the best in you. I can tell you the truth. For example, in my life, like most other black people, I've been in spaces where I wanted white people to be nicer to me, where the white people in power mistreated me and it wasn't fair and I didn't like it, and the racism was very stressful and it made me angry because it was not consistent with the dream that I had in my head that if I work hard and go to school that some white man's going to give me a wonderful job. And that did not happen. And so what happened was when I got rejected from one opportunity, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go create my own opportunity. Screw you. You're not going to impress me. And I actually became better and more successful when I did things on my own than I ever could have been if they had been nice to me. So as awkward as it sounds, I'm quite happy that I was not properly integrated into other systems because that would have diluted who I am today. Syracuse University, if they had treated me well, I'd probably still be on the faculty of Syracuse right now. I wouldn't be talking to you. I'd be doing, I'd be sitting in my office somewhere writing research papers that nobody's ever going to read, and maybe talking to about 10 black students a year. And I would think that this is the best that it gets. I would think that I was on top of everything. Like, and so to some extent, my frustration used to be, I say, gosh, I think I could be a great asset to the school. I'm good at what I do. I love what I do. I think I'm a good person. Why don't you see my value? Why don't you see my value? Why are you rejecting me when I'm bringing all this to the table? And the truth is, like, I'm so happy they didn't see my value because the problem wasn't that they didn't see my value. The problem was that I didn't really truly see my value. And I didn't know how to maximize my value. If I saw my value and I knew what to do with that value, then I would never give away something so valuable and so precious for my family. Do you understand? If you're sitting there begging somebody to see your worth, we do that in relationships, you know. Oh, I treat you so well. Do you know how many women would like a man like me? Do you know how many men would love it if a woman did? That ain't the person for you. They don't see your value. Maybe they never will. You got to switch your strategy because there's a big, broad world out here of people that will see your value. Like I come in here and see Syracuse used to tolerate me despite who I was. Y'all love me because of who I am. And that is a whole different reality. It's different, to be in a space where you're tolerated is you're not going to be nearly as fulfilled as being in a space where you're rewarded for being exactly who you are. And so I really almost think that this complicated relationship that we have with white people, one where I don't advocate for hating anybody. I don't think it's even beneficial to sit around and talk about how mad we are at white folks. Um, at the same time, I'm not comfortable with what happened with integration, not because I think that we should have complete segregation or whatever. It's not that simple. It's just more so like sometimes a little bit of pressure or being rejected from the thing that you think you want can actually open the door for you to grab onto something that's far better than anything you ever would have imagined if you had been limited to what you thought you want, right? Sometimes like we just like in a relationship. Have you ever done this? I want to make this clear. Like, has there ever gone through that where you were in love with somebody who was absolutely the wrong person for you? I'm sure everybody's gone through that, right? Give me a yes if you've gone through that feeling where you love somebody and you begged her to stay and you begged him, you really wanted that man and he but in hindsight, he wasn't or she wasn't good for you. I've done it. Maybe some of you have been smart enough to never make that mistake, but I have on multiple occasions. And then maybe a year later, you meet somebody that's amazing and you literally want to send a thank you card to the person who dumped you. That's my relationship with white folks and white supremacy and white institutions. I have no ill will toward Syracuse or the people that let me go. At that time, I did. At that time, I was like, this ain't right. This ain't fair. This is racism. They should be. But now I'm like, man, I'm not mad at you. That was kind of your loss, but I'm kind of glad that you weren't smart enough to see it because then it would have become my loss. If you saw what I could bring to you and you said, gosh, here's this, dynamic, energetic, young African American scholar who's committed to what he does and he's got all this influence in the black community. Let's give him a raise and a promotion. Let's keep this guy. I would have stayed. And it would have been good for you. But it would have been very bad for me because I needed to be in a building with a taller ceiling. God had a bigger plan for me than whatever the hell y'all were gonna do with me. So I just really think that when you are comfortable and confident with who you are, you open the universe up for God's plan instead of masses plan. Because I told you, we talked about this before. You have a plan for you, and that's in many cases, if you have some of the challenges and deficiencies that many of us have as Black people, that plan is going to be limited because I think that collectively as a community, our self-esteem is not what it should be. I don't think we realize how great we are, how great we can be. Because when you really know how good you are, how great you can be, fear goes out the window. You stop being scared. You just start going for it. Like when Tiger Woods was the best golfer in the history of the world, he was so damn good and so talented. He would just courageously take shots that nobody else would take because he's like, I got the juice. I'm that good, right? So I think that if we really knew how great we are, what our ancestors have accomplished, what they've overcome, what we're capable of, they would have or we would be unstoppable. Because I think that our ancestors, by virtue of what they've overcome, set a standard that many of us don't have the courage to try to meet, are not even aware of, and don't care to try to pursue. But so you got your plan for your life, but then you got Massa's plan, right? Massa's plan for me is, oh, this is a black boy. First thing we're gonna try to do is abort him if we can, because his mother's a teenager. We need to have her come down to Planned Parenthood so we can get rid of this little Negro. The second part of Massa's plan is we're gonna put him in an indoctrination camp, also known as the public school system, and we're going to make sure that he never truly explores his potential. He's gonna come to class and he's gonna like me, I was jumping around and I kind of made, I would kind of get out of line or whatever. And they would, they wanted to put me on medication and put me in special classes and all this other stuff. So we're going to limit his potential to what we need him to be. We're going to shape him into a worker Or maybe if that doesn't work out, we just shape him into like maybe a prison inmate or something so we can make some money off him that way. We're going to basically make sure we limit him in certain ways so that he fits into the system, right? It's like chiseling that. It's like taking a piece, a little bolt and chiseling it down so it fits right into the slot that you want it to fit into. And then, and so that was Massa's plan. Massa's plan is you go to school, you go deep in debt with student loans, you stay in debt until you die, and you spend your whole life trying to work yourself out of debt, but you never actually do because student loans are absolutely horrendous for most people. And then you're serving the corporate plantation, adding to the economy, and making everybody else rich except for yourself. That's pretty much what Massa's plan is. And then there's God's plan. And God's plan is it's limitless. It's so deeply profound and powerful that I don't think we can imagine it. I know we can't imagine it because we're limited as human beings. We're limited in what we can see. We don't have the consciousness to even begin to try to see God's plan. We can only maybe see it in hindsight. But I don't think any of us, it's almost like one of these things where you're not even aware of what you're capable of, right? Because you're so limited by all these earthly, almost human limitations like fear and, concern about what you might be able to do, or you're limited by what you are instead of thinking about what you could be. Right. And this is one of the reasons why I think consciousness is so important is because the more conscious you become, the more you can see things. You can even see things that cannot be seen. Right. You can accept not just the known and the unknown, but you know about the unknown unknown. You know about the universe of possibilities that exist outside of yourself. Like that's conscious. You got to meditate on that to really get there. It's really hard. And even when you're there, you can't stay there. Sometimes you get pulled back down to earth by small-minded people around you, but you got to have that space to be able to try to go there because then you start seeing all the potential that you have, all the possibilities, all the things that could be true if you were to shift your behavior or make a certain decision or whatever it is, right? So I really feel like if you want to know what my goal is every day, my goal is to submit to God's plan, right? That means I might make a plan, but I'm limited. I can't, Boyce is flawed. He can't make a good plan for himself. I reject Massa's plan. Massa is not my friend. Massa is going to do right by Massa. So I'm not paying attention to that. And I really just say, okay, what is God's plan? What does that look like for me? I don't know. And I'm prepared. I'm gonna do the basic things, get up every day, be consistent, work hard, be a good person, keep growing, and eventually, I'm going to grow into something such that my hope is 10 years from now, I will grow into something that I can't even imagine right now because I'm too limited to even see that vision. Do you understand? I try to. I try, but sometimes it's hard. Right? I didn't know when I was 33 that I would be doing exactly what I'm doing right now at 53. I had no idea. Right. So I would say open yourself up to God's plan for you. And I think it's going to be great for you. And I think that one of the things about God's plan, in my opinion, is I don't think it correlates very well with fear. And I do believe that one effort to keep Black consciousness very low, financially and otherwise, socially and all this other stuff, is to keep you living in a constant state of fear. Because fear really is like a prison. And when I get you in the state of fear, then you're gonna feel like, okay, I've only got this choice or that choice, right? It comes up in the elections and all that stuff, right? And I'm not even gonna talk about that. That's another conversation. But generally, I think that living with fear limits you. Like it's almost like when I was telling you about Tiger Woods when he was the best golfer in the world. And he not only had all this talent and potential and capability, but he didn't really play with a lot of fear. Because he was 21 years old and he had nothing to lose and he would just go for it. And that's when amazing things tend to happen, is when people are able to let go of that fear and just say, I'm gonna swing this club and see what happens. And so I say, go for it in your life. That's what's gonna make you optimize your success, optimize your happiness. It allows you to be the greatest gift you can possibly be to other people. And then also just circling back on the economic piece of that, the economics almost will become secondary to everything else in life that's really powerful. So to just sort of take this full circle, because I probably got a little bit abstract there, and I hope that that's okay. Um, I would say to you that when it comes to our kids, by preparing them financially, when we were talking about that little girl who was selling her body for a laptop earlier, beautiful girl, all this talent, all this hard work, and you sold your body for a laptop. Come on now. What that said to me is that it was not her better side that led her to do this. This was not God's plan for her, but this might have been her plan for her based on the limitations that were placed upon her. Do you understand? The limitations in terms of mindset, the limitations in terms of self-esteem, but also specifically maybe economic limitations and skill set limitations, such that maybe she thought, well, because I'm pretty and I don't have any money, my only skill is what I can do for that man in the bedroom. That's my best skill. Whereas a little bit of preparation could have helped her understand, no, that's not my best skill. My best skill is that I'm an amazing entrepreneur and I also have, $250,000 in stock that my parents have been investing for me since I was a baby. So now I'm not trying to go and do this thing over here. I'm over here comparing myself to Ava DuVernay or the wealth of a Tyler Perry or whatever. And I'm going to go ahead and really take all this hard work that I'm doing and I'm going to apply it to something that's going to benefit me. And that's another thing you want to think about is that the reason that you want the kids to really have certain skill when it comes to wealth and investing in entrepreneurship is because a lot of you are going to produce very talented, very intelligent, hardworking children. And what you really don't want, in my opinion, is you don't want others to see their value before you see their value. Other people see how profitable the black community is. We don't see that. And then we fall into the misperception that if they don't see our value, then we have no value, right? Like, have you ever seen somebody who is looking for a job and they can't find a job? So, because they can't find a job, they just sit around and do nothing. My thing is like, if you're really worth all this money that you're asking somebody to pay you, why are you sitting around doing nothing? You're clearly valuable. They just may not want that value, but a diamond that no one picks up is still a damn diamond. What makes you think that that diamond is not a diamond anymore? Just because nobody identifies it as a diamond, nobody picks it up and what you do you need to be exploited and have your wealth extracted for you to see that there's wealth there? Do you understand what you're doing? Not only are you giving away your wealth, because remember, black wealth is going down. This is proven statistically. Not only are you giving away your wealth, but you're really setting yourself up for almost something that I might call the bitter Negro paradox, right? The bitter Negro paradox. I literally just made that up. The bitter Negro paradox is when you spend your whole life trying to sell yourself to white folks, and then they see your value before you do, and then they extract all this wealth and value out of you, and then you turn around and you say, "Man, they look at what they got off of me. They took it and all my I worked hard for them, and they took all they made all this money off of me, and I didn't make nothing." But you put yourself in the bitter Negro paradox. You basically beg them to take you in. And then when they did what capitalists do, they took wealth, they extracted something from you because they're going to do what's best for themselves. They're not trying to be accepted by you. You're trying to be accepted by them. And then when they did what they do, you're mad about it now, but you signed up for that. You wanted that. Because if you see the value in yourself, or you are a lot of parents, for example, they see the value in their children. So they're like, I'm not, why would I send my child to go work for somebody else when they could be working for the family? This child's a multi-million dollar asset. Why would I give that away? See, do y'all understand? Y'all know the basics. Let's go back to a basic idea of what it means to be rich and what rich people do that's different from everyone else. Rich people identify their value and they don't give it away to other people. They identify what they have that's valuable and they don't give it away. They don't sell it quickly. They don't beg people to take it from them. So if you are doing that, then you're going to end up losing everything. And then you're going to wonder what happened. Like, how did you get all the wealth and I don't have any? Why is black wealth going down? Well, it's not because black people aren't valuable. We know how valuable we are. We've known that since slavery. Black wealth is going down because of our self-esteem and our desire for acceptance, are literally begging at every turn for somebody to come and use us up. We're begging to sell our body for a laptop. That's what we're doing. And then to make it worse, we sell our body and we don't even get the laptop. And then we become a bunch of bitter black people like, man, white people have all the wealth. Look at the wealth disparity. Look at the racial wealth gap. Well, if you don't like the racial wealth gap, why are you contributing to it? You're just you're participating. It takes two people to tango. That's the point. It takes two people to tango. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking before I say something that offends somebody. I probably already have. I always do, and I apologize, but not really, because I got to be honest and tell you what I see and what I think. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I see some of your questions. If you have questions, try to put your questions in like one sentence. That way I can kind of see it. And so compound interest with stocks. If you want to get started with stocks, you can go to blackwealthmasterplan.com. It's totally free, and that'll get you started in 5 minutes. So feel free to go to blackwealthmasterplan.com. I do have a black stock market program that I do. We do stock market Tuesdays where we do nothing but talk about stocks. And so I can send you guys a link to do a 30-day trial. If you're not on the text list for this class, pull out your phone and get on the text list for the class so you get notified. Text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. Now, let's see here. So I see your question, Dawit, about the Prime program. Is it better to sign up for each course one by one or just do Prime? I would say if you have a question like that, I would email support at theblackbusinessschool.com and they can just kind of talk you through it and let you know what option's best for your family. The support at theblackbusinessschool.com and the Prime program is at drboyceprime.com. That's probably the fun. Like I would say that's my favorite class in the sense that I just think stock options and selling stock options is an amazing way to generate wealth, and that's something that we do in the Prime program. Let's see, can you still get 50% off the 2025 conference? I'm sorry, Kathleen, that discount is has ended. We'll probably do another early bird promotion at some point. And right now, if you want to, right now we don't have the details very scant. We're going to pretty soon. Go ahead and start sending out submissions if you want to try to be a speaker or a vendor at the next conference, or just you'd like to attend. Then we will let you guys know first because we want family first. We want family there first, and we want you to bring your family because it's a very family oriented atmosphere at the convention, and we're very particular about protecting that and making sure everybody feels happy, safe, good, welcome. And also the learning part, we got you covered. I'm a college professor. We got other professors. So we it's a great black think tank, but beyond the thinking and the learning, there's also the connecting. It's a lot of fun. And also people do business. They go there and they do business with each other now. Like real money gets made that way. So let's see here. Some Chanita said, I want to speak about tall black people. Ain't that funny? I am about 6'9", so yeah, I could probably fit that conversation. I'm lying. It's people keep telling me I'm 5'8", but that's fake news. They're lying to me. All right, so let's see here. Dr. Boyce, I'm in Prime and I didn't get the money grid. Yeah, well, or if you log in at drboyceprime.com, the money grid is in there. Also, I texted out to you guys. If you're not on the text list for Prime, text the word options to the number 87948. Text options to 87948 and I will send out the Moneymaker grid again, and you can log in and get access to that. But yeah, we put out the grid about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. And if you ever have an issue, anything's confusing, just email support and they can take good care of you. Thoughts on HEA versus a HELOC? Sorry, HEA versus HELOC or home equity loan. No thoughts about that right now. I would just say that in terms of a line of credit versus just sort of a lump sum. I think it might come down to whether or not you're using the capital, right? If you're using the money that you borrow, then it's probably better to just get it all at once. But if you're not going to use it, a line of credit kind of allows you to have it there in case you need it, right? So you're not activating it unnecessarily. Um, so I don't know. So I would kind of say that generally speaking, there are some pros and cons. I know with an HEA, there's no monthly payments, stuff like that, and also you can get a portion of your home equity without increasing the debt. And the downside is that you're sharing a percentage of your home's future value, right? So you got to be really careful with that because you're talking about dealing with an investor. I don't believe that it makes the most sense whether you're running a good business or a home or whatever, to bring in equity partners unless you absolutely have to. Let's see here. I'm not receiving responses to my inquiries with numerous emails. You know what? Okay, put your name in there, and I'm gonna make sure because I know that the support team answers emails every day, and so if you're not getting a response to the inquiries, I want to know about that. So I'm gonna take a picture of your comment and I'm going to send it directly to our head of customer support, Amani, because I'm sure that there's some sort of mistake. So put your name in there and let me know. Let me know. I'm going to literally send a text to her right now. So whoever put that comment in there about not getting a response to your support email. Okay, here we go. All right, so Kelly Smith. Okay, so Miss Kelly. Wait, dang it, her comment went away. Let me find Kelly again. Hold on, because this is big for me. I know that the team is on top of. Oh, someone else that said they're having the same problem. Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna deal with this. All right. I'm going to make sure. Let me see. In fact, I'm making a video. Okay, so Kelly Smith. Who else? Did anybody else have an issue with that? Because if that's an issue, then I would need to talk to them. Okay, who's that? Patricia, is that your name? Okay, put your email in there if you. Okay, someone says they have been helpful. Okay, good. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna. Okay, they've been responsive to me, says Sharon. Okay, I'm really interested in that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, know your team is amazing. Answers promptly. Okay. All right, so you know what? This is interesting. Okay, so a lot of you are saying that the team is helpful, and a few of you are saying that the team didn't get back right away. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send that video to Amani right now so she can sort of see that and help me sort through that. And maybe we can set up some easier way to connect because in the Black Business School, customer service is our most important attribute because we really want to make sure you feel comfortable, welcome, and supported in everything that you're doing. And if you ever don't feel that way, then that's something that I will personally get on top of myself. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so let's see here. Is there a simulator included of how to sell stocks in class? Well, we have the simulator, Michael, in the Black Investors Cup. That's what we use for the event for the championship. All the students get free access to the competition. We're going to do another one at the start of next year. But within the class, we don't use simulators much. We just talk about how you can go in directly and buy the stock, but maybe some sort of simulator appearance inside the class could be beneficial too. That's a great idea. Is day trading a good route to go as a beginner? Asked Candace. I don't think so. I don't like day trading. No disrespect to day traders. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm insulting what you do, but it's really hard. Studies show that 90% of all day traders don't make money. So I don't think like selling stock options, I show you all in class that do this, and this, and you can make some money tomorrow. And it's pretty low risk. It's not, it's not rolling the dice. It's not like, well, you might make money or you might make money three times in a row and then lose all your money the fourth time. It's like if you're consistent and careful and conservative, you can make a consistent income, and that's why people love Prime so much. I can't say the same thing about day trading. Day trading's kind of like, ugh. And by the way, I want to mention on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, I'm going to do a training called How to Turn Your Child into a Millionaire. And so, for those of you that are interested in who have grandchildren or children or kids you mentor, and you want to understand a specific process on how to get that done, I'm going to do that Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. I will text you all a link to join everybody in the Prime, or sorry, everybody here gets a discount to the event on Tuesday, and I'll send you that special link. So make sure you're on the text list to get that. Text the word morning to the number 87948, and I'll send out that link today. And I just want to do that on Tuesday, just as a special event in the Black Business School where you can come in and really make a plan for your kids and your grandkids, so they don't, end up like that poor girl who had to sell her body for a laptop. I hate stories like that. Damien, which course is good for learning stock options? I think Prime is the best because Prime covers selling, buying, different strategies, beginners, advanced, all kinds of stuff. So I'll go to drboyceprime.com, drboyceprime.com. Okay, thank you, Jen, for your comment about support. I'm going to make sure the support team gets all those messages because there's probably a misunderstanding. I'm under the assumption that they are getting back to people just because I have a lot of people that say good things. But if it's not if it's not chalking up to what it's supposed to be, oh, believe me, I will be on that. Let's see, Veronica, can we put in our desire to volunteer earlier than later? Yes. We are going to actually, with volunteers, we're going to first invite the people that volunteered this year. Unless you were crazy or something, then we can't invite you back because you got to go see a therapist first. But people who did a good job, they will be invited, and we are going to spend more time with volunteer training and stuff like that. And one change that is being made is we're going to have a certain number of volunteer sessions. And in order for a person to be allowed to volunteer, they're going to have to go to so many sessions on Zoom to make sure they're fully trained. Because sometimes people will volunteer just to get a free ticket, and that's okay. But you got to know how to do your job, and you got to be available to do whatever it is you agreed to do. But yeah, ABC 2025 is going to be in Atlanta. Lantha Jones says, Dr. Boyce, did you send a link to purchase next year's convention? I did text it out. I did text it out. Right now it's all at allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com, but I did text it out to you guys. Let's see. Derek says, I have two jobs, but I got fired from one. Now I'm looking to use stock options to make 1,200 per month with $15,000 in capital. I think that's almost doable, actually. If you have 15,000 and you follow the steps that I show you inside Prime, then I could see that being feasible. No guarantees. This is not investing advice, but I've seen it happen. Yeah, I could probably pull that off, right? So, or at the very least, something very close to it. So, yeah, and this is a great way to start a black-owned business. Honestly, I think this is better than starting a business because businesses are hard because you got to work your butt off. You put in all your money. You don't have any guarantees. You don't know if you're ever going to make money, and even if you do, sometimes it might take a year to become profitable. With this, if you have a basic capital base that you can access, even if it's through a loan or something, you can literally be making income on Monday. And the key thing that I like about it, what I think is innovative about it is we really spend a lot of time thinking about how to minimize the risk. Like right now, a lot of you that are in Prime, you saw that the market kind of dipped this week. But if you applied the approach, the techniques we talked about in terms of how you position your puts and everything, then you still got hit. Everybody loses a little bit of capital when that sector of the market drops, but you didn't get hit nearly as hard as everybody else. And the business is still stable. It's like a building being hit by an earthquake. The building's going to be damaged, but the building doesn't fall down. And that's kind of what you're looking for, something that's stable, that gives you that consistent income stream. And I found that that little bit of extra income makes a big difference for a lot of you. Let's see here. Sharon says, I want to be a boss, be one. That's my new motto. Good for you, Sharon. All right, boss Sharon. All right. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Douglas. I appreciate your comment as well. I'm going to take a picture of your email address because I'm going to send that to the team to make sure that they are aware of your message. So yeah, we're gonna dig into that stuff. In fact, I'm gonna call her today. All right, let's see what else. Mentors to assist with a nonprofit after school programs. I'm not really an expert in nonprofits. I could share ideas. Every now and then we do small group consultations and stuff like that. I'll let you guys know when we do those. But like I don't run after school programs, and I don't run a nonprofit. So we don't really actually have a lot of stuff there for nonprofits. Maybe we can look into that though. But yeah, and really, if you get training on that from somewhere else, I would not spend more. If I take a class, I don't really believe in spending more than like say $3,000 on a class, unless I'm getting something just undeniably successful where literally you're going to do it for me and you can guarantee me a money back guarantee, number one, if I'm not happy. Number two, that whatever you're doing, I'm completely sure that there's a high probability that's going to work. I see a lot of people, many of whom don't have any credentials, they have no degree in the field. They just know how to sell a course, who are convincing people to pay, 10, 20, $30,000 for stuff. And then on top of that, you spend all this money, then you got to do all this work. And then if it doesn't work, they blame you. They turn and they say, "Well, it didn't work for you because you didn't do all the work and you had to do all of this and all that." I don't think that's fun or fair. So um be careful. I think buying online courses and signing up for stuff is good because there are people that know how to do stuff, but I think a lot of stuff that people buy doesn't work. So just be really careful. And maybe dip your toe in the water, spin a little bit, and if that works, then maybe you spend a little bit more. But I see a lot of people, they'll come and tell me they spent $20,000, 15,000 on a class on stock options. And I'll be like, why? It shouldn't cost you that much. Or they would spend 10, 20, 30,000 on day trading. And because somebody fed them an illusion, a fantasy about how day trading can make your life so wonderful and you can spend all your time on the beach and all that. And that's not the reality. But if I'm trying to convince you that day trading is going to work, here's what I do. It's very easy. You just take all of the times where people did make money and that's what you put in your marketing. So you're giving them, they call that, it's statistics, they call that selection bias. Selection bias is where I'm not showing you the whole picture. I'm just showing you the part that I need you to see, the part that's going to feed into your deficiency or your desire, right? The devil knows the deficiency, the devil knows the desire. So the devil knows, they know that you're tired of working every day. You're fantasizing about this amazing dream life. So they dangle all this possibility in front of you. Like, hey, look, it's so and so. This is a single mom in California who spent $200 and turned it into 20,000. Who isn't going to be excited about that? But they don't tell you about all the other single moms who spent 2,000 and turned it into zero. They don't tell you about that, right? So I would say um, it's really a matter of just kind of being careful about how you invest in these things and making sure you dig into things that actually work. What I like about Prime is that they're really in about, if you go through the Prime 101 material, you can learn how to make money in about an hour if you just kind of do the basics. And I give as much step by step as I possibly can. Like do this, click on that. This is what I do. Then the money comes out. Like kicking a vending machine, that kind of thing. All right, so let's see here. Sharon Smith, as a new investor, what's the best program to join? Well, on the lower end, there's Black Money 101, blackmoney101.com, and we discounted that price to less than $100 for lifetime access. And then there's Dr. Boyce Prime, which is drboyceprime.com, which is much more expansive, um, higher level, has a higher price point, but it's still something where most of the students that are in there, I'd say all of them, and if you're not in this category, you shouldn't be in the program. They will say that they're making more money than it costs to be in the program because we picked the price at a point that allows the Black Business School to make revenue but not so high that it's literally stretching the heck out of people. Like I don't really do, many things that are in the thousands and thousands of dollars because I don't think that's necessary. The only things that have a higher price, a super high price point might be like a mastermind because takes a lot of time. Remember, I was telling you time is really valuable. My time matters a lot, so I can't really always talk to someone one on one. So I can do that, but there is a price to that, right? But some of the other stuff with Prime, because I can talk to everyone at once, the price point I think is very, very fair. So feel free to go to drboyceprime.com, or you can also, I have a training called How to Make Money Without Working. If you text the word money to 87948, you can take a look at that and see how you feel. Let's see, what age for the kids class Tuesday? Well, Teresa, it's not really for kids, actually. It's for the parents of kids. It's because remember, you're the economic driver in your household. Your wealth is like a car. You're driving the car. The kids are just in the car. The kids don't even know, think about it. When you were a little kid, you didn't even know how cars worked. You didn't know, your mama, if your mama was drunk or high or something, you would have just died and wouldn't even know what happened, right? So ultimately, parents that are making good and bad decisions about their kids' economic future are usually making these decisions at a time when the kids are not even aware of what's going on. They don't understand the gravity of these decisions. They won't understand that for 20 years. So, that training, how to make turn your child into a millionaire on Tuesday, it is for the people that are guiding the children, the people that are making the decisions. So, but you can bring the children though, right? If you got smart kids in your house that really need to hear this stuff, pay them $10 to come and sit through the class, something like that. Whatever you got to do, because I can guarantee you that being exposed to a black college professor at the age of 9 puts them light years ahead of everybody else. It does. I didn't meet a black college professor till I was 19, and I've never had a black college professor teach me in a class ever to this day. And I took a lot of classes. I never had one black teacher. So ultimately, you can bring your kids, you can bring your whole family. One membership takes care of the whole family, or one ticket. It will cost less than $100. The stuff will be yours for life. and you can decide from there what you want to do. Let's see here. Let's see. How do you volunteer for the All Black National Convention? Asked Francine. I'm going to send you all a link. The Money in the Morning folks, you guys will get first access to volunteer, to be vendors, to get discounts, things like that. So when it's ready, I'll send it to you all first. What about investing in AI? Asked Sabrina. That's a great question. I made a list of AI stocks. If you text the word stock to 87948, text stock to 87948, you can get that list. Investing in AI is so critical that I feel sorry for people who don't do it. I study artificial intelligence every single day. I pay very close attention to all the new developments. There are things happening at very fast speeds that are just neck breaking. It's insane. There's an arms race in AI right now, and billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, actually, at some point, are going to be invested into this. It's not just the United States, it's Saudi Arabia, it's China, it's Russia, it's everybody. And so what you kind of have is you have the tech stocks, the Nvidias, Microsoft, stuff like that. They're going to make money, but then you also have those companies that are fueling the growth of AI. The people, I sent you all that list of nuclear companies because all these companies are now trying to buy nuclear reactors. They're all trying to buy their own nuclear reactors just to fuel all the energy requirements for AI. And like URA, uranium, the uranium ETF, URA, that's already been shooting up. Another one, we talked about that stock owned by Sam Altman from OpenAI. What was that ticker symbol? Oklo, OKLO. And you saw Oklo like doubled in about a week or two. And there's more. There's so much more out there that's going to happen. So I think investing in AI is critical because I saw a study that said AI is supposed to take about 85 million jobs in the next 2 years and it's already taking jobs. Microsoft is hiring far fewer programmers because they don't need them because of AI. Law firms are excited because they used to have to pay an associate a bunch of money to write a legal brief. Now the AI can write the legal briefs for them. Hollywood studios. Tyler Perry, did y'all know that Tyler Perry was spending like hundreds of millions of dollars to do something new with his studio? And when he saw AI and the developments as of last year, he stopped building it. He just stopped. He said, AI is going to change everything. I can do everything super cheap. So AI is just going to kind of change everything. So I would just get ready for that. And I think the best way to benefit is to find a way to consistently invest in it. Again, do that matching program I talked about. Every time you go out to eat, take that same amount of money you spent going out to eat, buy the same amount of stock. If you go on a vacation, earn the vacation by buying the same amount of stock, the same amount that you're going to spend on the vacation. And I would aim for AI. I think AI is going to be amazing. All right. So yeah, I saw Oklo does have stock options for sure. Harris and Trump are the same. Boyce mentioned that it's mostly young males on the gambling sites. Yeah, yeah. I bought y'all. Did y'all know that you could buy Kamala Harris and Donald Trump contracts? And I think I've made some money. I think I made a good investment here. I invested in Kamala Harris because and again, not because I care about the politics. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't trust politicians. But Kamala's contracts were trading for like 30, 35, 36 cents. And I said, that doesn't make any sense because that's saying that there's only a roughly 35% chance that she's going to become president. I think that her odds were much higher than that. I think it's definitely at least 50-50, and it might be in her favor. I don't know. So I bought a bunch of the contracts, and I bought this contract. I think I bought it at 40 cents, and it's something where if she wins, my $480 investment turns into $1,200. It's like that. But the thing about it is that her numbers have actually increased since then. Now she's up to 50 cents. And because I guess the gambling markets are starting to realize how stupid that was, that Kamala was ranked so low. And the reason for the bias, in my opinion, came from the fact that most of the people who gamble are men, young men, and young men are more likely to vote for Donald Trump. And I think that's what created that bias in them that just I don't think was very accurate. So anyway, Kevin, will you have an event in Brooklyn, New York? What's crazy, Kevin, is you're the second person in the last 48 hours who asked me to do something in Brooklyn, and we were already talking about Brooklyn anyway. So the answer is yes. 2025, I'll be in Brooklyn. Michael, is there a discount available for the Prime program? Well, if you go to drboyceprime.com, you'll find that the price there is already the discounted price. The price is going to go up in the new year. So because we're at capacity in the program, so you probably want to go ahead and sign up now before the new year hits because the price will be different after the new year. Juanita, how much base capital would you need? I've saved money. Thank you for all you do. The amount of base capital you have can be at a lot of different levels. It kind of depends on what you're seeking to do. Um, I've seen people start off with a couple $1,000s or something like that. The more you have, the more capital you have, the more money you can make. This is why saving and investing is so important. Because when you have a capital base, you have a lot more freedom financially and otherwise than you do when you don't have a capital base. So the best gift you can give your kids is not just an education or a chicken dinner. It's a capital base. If I give you a capital base, that's better than me giving you a car. That's really, really valuable. And if you know what to do with that, you can really change your whole life around with that. Renee, I had both good communication with the team and not much communication with the team. Okay, A, B, and C needs a channel. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, Renee, well, if you volunteer, I think that's something you should bring up because we are looking for ways to make it better. This convention was probably the best convention we've ever had in terms of just smoothness. I told you when I first started doing the convention, I didn't know how to do a convention. God gave me the idea and I liked it and I pursued it. But I didn't know, I'd never done an event like that before. So we were learning as we went along. But unfortunately, every convention's been pretty awesome. Even that first one was just amazing. So that's that. So hopefully next year will be great too. Gentle reminder to attend Dr. Alicia's book club, please. Oh, I should attend her book club. Well, my wife does her book club. My wife is a therapist and she's a relationship therapist. And also she's really, really good on things like trauma and financial trauma and how that affects our choices. And so every Sunday night she does a book club. If you'd like to be invited to the Dr. Alicia book club, she has finished doing a book called How to Be an Adult in Relationships, and she lays out really interesting ideas on how to not mess up your relationships. And this is important because we've talked about how people that don't have good relationships don't tend to have wealth. Broken families are typically broke families. And so the ability to create the right relationships and manage them properly is just as important as managing a stock portfolio. The difference is that you have a portfolio that's much more valuable than just stock. Your portfolio of relationships. I can analyze a portfolio of relationships the exact same way I can analyze a portfolio of stocks. All of the key concepts that come up in stock market analysis, like diversification, risk reward, things like that, that all applies to every asset in your life, your relationships. So, I would suggest taking a look at some of the stuff she's doing there because it's really good. And she does that Sunday night. It's free. If you want to be notified, you can text the word love to the number 87948. So text love to 87948. She also does stuff every week with Fly Nubian Money. The ladies on Fly Nubian Money, they're really good. Like I guarantee if you watch them once or twice, you're gonna love them. And it's just a bunch of smart black women. Dr. Lene Javette, who's an expert on black entrepreneurs. Constance Carter, who ran the largest black-owned real estate firm in California. My wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, who is a full professor of social work and a licensed therapist who trains licensed therapists. Who else is on there? Athena Gardner. Athena Gardner runs We Women Wealth, and she is a younger woman. She's about 32, and she spoke at the All Black National Convention. She knows a lot about artificial intelligence. She knows a lot about wealth and things like that. And then Tiara Williams, who is actually a producer, writer, and actress in Hollywood, who runs the Real Network. So a lot of amazing women are on that platform. So feel free to hop into that when you get a notification. All right, so let's see here. Teresa, do you add puts on your personal stocks you buy, or only the ones you're doing for options? Typically, only the ones I'm doing for options because my stocks I buy are long-term holds, so I'm not really thinking about the downside risk as much. That doesn't bother me. When the prices go down, I just buy more shares. Nvidia is being moved to the Dow Jones. What does that mean? That means Nvidia is probably going to pop like crazy because when a stock gets added to the Dow Jones or to the S&P, it becomes a very big deal. A lot of managers have to add the stock to the portfolio, so I fully expect that my Nvidia investment is going to pop a little bit. Let's see here. Antoinette says, Dr. Boyce, I was able to purchase after going in Robinhood a few times. Okay, not sure that I understand what that means, but um, well, congratulations. I'm happy for you for sure. Agnes, if Kamala loses, do you lose the $400? Yes. Yes. So the way the contracts work is, and I just did it for fun. It was honestly, it was like sports gambling. Honestly, like I literally just was like, I think this is an undervalued asset. I think Kamala has a 50% chance of winning. So it was like in finance they call that arbitrage, where you find an asset that's undervalued and you buy it because you buy low, sell high. So I thought, and so my thinking is maybe I may not even wait till the election. I may try to see if I can sell my contract tomorrow and just take my 20% gain and just be done with it. Not even wait till the election's over. In a way, investing can be a little bit like poker. Options are like poker, where in poker, I love poker. I don't like gambling, but I like poker. I told you guys that. And the thing about poker that people don't know is that most of the time, the winner of a poker hand doesn't even show their cards. Did y'all know that? That literally you don't even see if you had the better hand because the hand usually ends before the cards are revealed because there's a big game being played between the start of the hand and the end of the hand, and where you reveal the cards. And maybe I'm gonna guess maybe 20% of the time you see the cards. The other 80% you don't. You just look at odds and probabilities based on actions and behavior. So with stock, it's the same thing. Um, there will be a big reveal at the end of this election cycle, right? On the 4th, I guess. We'll have some idea of who the next president of the United States is going to be. But I don't really even know if I want to hold on to my contract till then. I don't want to, maybe I don't want it to be an all or nothing kind of thing. If Kamala's odds rise to 50%, then 55%, then 60%, I may say, okay, I'll go ahead and sell my contract. Somebody else will buy it. And I'll make, what is it? Let's say I put in 480, maybe I make $700 back. Cool. I made a massive ROI. I'm good with that, right? I don't need to wait until the election to know if it's going to work or not. Okay. Jen S says, when should we mark our calendars for the economic convention in California? Looking forward to it. Yeah, that's a great, I'm thinking like maybe let me get with my team on nailing the calendar. As soon as I know, you guys will be the first ones to know. And so yeah, I'm thinking about maybe just calling it economic elevation, right? Where it's a chance for all of us to get together in 3D and go into a room and spend a couple of days really increasing our financial consciousness. So I was thinking about bringing my wife who's really good at things like guided meditations and stuff like that. Like I kind of think like a money meditation is beneficial, right? So we can kind of figure out who we are, what we're trying to do, understand what financial consciousness means. Yeah. So all that, like stuff that we kind of do here, except doing it in a way where you all can kind of talk to each other, network with each other, and connect. And because you have this shared experience, a lot of you have been here dozens and dozens of times, and it's probably pretty cool. Not probably, I know it is pretty cool to talk to somebody where you're like, yeah, I've been doing this for 2 years or whatever. And they say, yeah, I've been in there a lot too. And then they already know a lot of what you know, so you don't feel like such an alien, which you probably might feel when you're trying to explain to somebody why this has benefited you. I'm really proud of this space. Like I think that this is a space of just cutting edge economic intelligence. I think this is a space where black love reigns supreme. It's a space where you can be proud and comfortable being black and not have anybody tell you that you should be scared because, of being too radical about it. Like whatever. Like I think this is also a space that I want it to be one where our goal was to be more intelligent and respectful of each other and allow diverse perspectives. Like I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. I really don't. All I care about is that you love yourself, you love your children, that you care about family, that you care about the black community, stuff like that, basic stuff that I think we can agree upon. And so I don't know. That's the thought. That's what I think would be accomplished at a conference like that. And California is a good place because the weather's nice in the wintertime, and we have a hotel that we have a good relationship with. So we'll probably pick that same hotel. Okay. All right, guys. I do see that there are more questions, and I unfortunately I cannot dig into to any more questions for today, but we will be back tomorrow. So text the word morning to the number 87948 if you want to be on the text list for this class. Text morning to 87948. Also, don't forget we have the Black Wealth Mastery Store if you want to go get, financial flashcards for your kids or take a look at my book, The 10 Commandments of Economic Power or Black Economic Power or even Powernomics. We have Dr. Claude Anderson's books there as well. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com and take a look there, drboycebooks.com. Plus, you will be keeping our 17-year-old employed. She actually is Nicole. She's the one that ships your books to you, but she's getting ready to go to college. So I gotta find somebody to replace her. So I gotta get on that too. All right. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you, and I will see you all very, very soon.